So the purpose of today's webinar is to enable you, to show you how and why to use one of our many technologies to moisturize the skin. More specifically, we will talk about, first we'll explain the whole issue and the need for moisturization. We'll also explain the difference between moisturizing and hydration. People get confused and not clear. And if it's not clear, then the treatment is not precise. After that, I show you one technology for today's session, which is SunSphere Aqua Skin. We explain the structure, the mechanism, what's unique about this technology, and eventually we'll show you how to use it in creating formulas. I want to mention that there are other technologies that we use to extend the moisturization of the skin, and that will be the subject for future webinars. So we'll talk about SunSphere Natural Moisturizing Factor, which is a different strategy to achieve the same goal. So there are different ways to moisturize and hydrate the skin. Also, we have Hydrosol Youth, it's a different technology, SunSphere Skin Protect, and SunSphere Moisture Guard. Each one of them is essential. It represents a different strategy to reach the same purpose. Each one of them deserves its own time, and I cannot squeeze them all into one webinar and doing it in an effective way. So we have to wait one by one. Okay, so right now we talk about SunSphere Aqua Skin. What is the problem that you're trying to address? So let's understand specifically the problem for dry skin. The picture talks. I don't need to repeat. The picture are telling you how dry skin is looking like. It doesn't tell you how you feel. So you know that dry skin feel very tight, especially after shower. So if you get out of the shower and you feel dry, you feel tight, you know your skin is dry. So this is one example to identify before you see major pictures like you see in this slide. Another aspect is it looks rough, skin looks rough. Sometimes the skin even gets itchy, okay? It's all dryness, flaky, scaly, peeling of the skin, fine lines. Fine lines, the first fine lines are basically as a result of dry skin. You know that we're born almost 100% full of water, but we die with 0% water. So losing water is the reason for the dry skin, fine lines, redness sometimes, and even cracks that may bleed. Also, cracks have another issue. They can allow pathogen to penetrate the skin. So because of all these reasons, we would like to find a solution, a cosmetic-derived solution to handle this problem that's called dry skin. Now we understand the problem. Now, how and what can we do to address it? So there are many people that are asking the question, how would I recognize the dry skin? So I already gave you some hints to recognize dry skin. But typically dehydrated skin typically looks dull and can show some premature signs. Premature signs are the fine lines, the wrinkles, and loss of elasticity. This is another parameter. How would you know the loss of elasticity? By simple pinch your skin. If it comes back to the normal case, then you're fine. If it does not come back, you see the wrinkles, then you know you're losing elasticity. The first thing to do is to moisturize the skin. Another aspect of dry skin is the darker circles under the eye. This is an indication of dry skin. So the treatment for black circles, immediate treatment should be involved with moisturizing and hydrating the skin. So these are some signs that help you understand what are the issues of dry skin. Dry skin can get more than a simple solution. It can get complicated. And you can see in these pictures to what extent it can get complicated. Complicated has multiple signs. Now, regular dryness, natural dryness is harmless. But when we don't take care of the dry skin, then we're exposed to major issues. One of them is atopic dermatitis, or in other words, eczema. This is excessive dryness that can lead to activation of a disease, causing redness, cracking, and inflammation. Another aspect of this is infection. The dry skin may crack, allow bacteria and other pathogens to enter and cause the infection. So we're talking about, in the beginning, inconvenience, but you see the dry skin can lead to major effect. Therefore, we should provide a better solution. So the natural question that would be coming up is, can I drink more water? Can water solve the problem of dry skin? Well, scientifically, we know from different reports that drinking water does not cure dry skin. It makes you feel good and it's good for your metabolism, but there is no connection between drinking, hydrating yourself with water, and dry skin. So dry skin needs to be taken care of topically. And this is a great opportunity for us in this business. So let's try to clarify what's the difference between hydration and moisturizing. What do? I moisturize the skin or hydrate my skin with water or with anything else? So let's clarify what's happening here. So hydration is the situation that the skin is dry, okay? And the skin lacks water. It needs to be hydrated. The skin needs to be hydrated. It's like you feel that you need water, okay? So hydration makes our skin feel very soft, but it would not stay so for a long time because it's missing the oil. What does it mean? That you can hydrate the skin with water or with other ingredients that identified as hydrating, such as hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is a hydrating material. It can bring the water and hold the water to a certain time, but limited time. If you want the water to be retained and stay for longer, you need moisturizing. Moisturizing is, again, the skin is dry, the same phenomena, but it's lacking the oil to retain the water. And this is the difference between hydrating and moisturizing. Moisturizing is able to lock in the hydrating power, lock in the water, okay? So we need the hydration, and then we need the moisturization. We need both in order to moisturize the skin. So this is about the difference between the two. Now, in order to lock in and retain the moisture, we need to take care of the lipid barrier. What is the lipid barrier and how do we take care of the lipid barrier? When we lose the barrier properties, we are losing water. So we are not able to keep the skin moisturized. What is that barrier? So look at this, it's this demonstration that shows you the top layer of the skin. This is the sebum barrier. And then we have the stratum corneum and the epidermal cells. You see how the stratum corneum cells are aligned to each other and the barrier is complete. Pathogen, allergens cannot penetrate. The same thing with viruses. And it's very actual to what we're talking today. Wearing masks, for example, or exposing to viruses. We need our barrier to be complete, perfect. So nothing can penetrate. Now, under these conditions, the moisture, the water, will able to mobilize to a certain level, but would not able to exit the skin. So the moisture can be retained. Now, what happens when we have a problem? Then the stratum corneum losing the structure. Even the sebum barrier is losing its structure, and therefore water and moisture, water is able to diffuse, evaporate, permeate out. So that's the place when the barrier is not complete, we are losing water, our skin becomes dry, and our skin is also become a purpose for pathogen, allergens to penetrate. They could penetrate if they would like to. The same thing goes with viruses. So this is the difference between a normal skin and a damaged skin. In both cases, we're talking about a same person, same skin that could be modified because of either physiological changes or environmental changes. So the skin can move from normal into a damaged situation. So this is about skin barrier. I hope you understand. Now, how do we treat? How do we make sure that our barrier is complete? So this is a situation where water can easily penetrate through the skin. There is a problem with the barrier, with the skin barrier. And this is a situation when we keep the barrier normal, complete, which means that all the cells are aligned and they prevent the water from penetrating and losing water. So the healthy skin barrier locks the moisture and prevent dryness. This is the whole idea, and it's applicable.
I'm not sure I understand.
It's applicable to. I'm sorry, my phone is not behaving, but I hope. Okay, so. It's applicable to the current situation when we are exposed to pathogens. It's also current for other issues such as exposure to UV, exposure to pollution, to toxic chemicals, pathogen, and so on. So how to build up the skin barrier after we understand the importance of skin barrier. Now you see there are multiple products in the market and each product has a different strategy. Now, what I want to do is I would like to show you what is our concept and what is our approach to keep the skin barrier under control and how do we differentiate from any other product, and you'll see the value in a few minutes. So our approach is to use the technology to trigger the process of naturally synthesizing the right amount of lipids and the right amount of natural moisturizing factors. So if we trigger the biological process, we don't need to supply the process ingredients for a long time. We can just trigger and enable the skin to start to produce its own ingredients and repair itself. Repair itself means two things. One, synthesize more lipids in order to create the barrier, and synthesize enough of the natural moisturizing factors. Those are critical ingredients that enables to keep the skin hydrated and moisturized. For example, hyaluronic acid. If we provide the trigger to produce our own, we don't need to supply it all the time. Okay, so we have to figure out how to do that. Then we want to stimulate simultaneously to supply the critical elements in a very time release, in a slow release pattern, in order to synchronize it with the biological process. So not to dump all the ingredients at once, but to provide them in a slow way so the skin, the biology of the skin, is able to receive those ingredients and respond. It takes time until the signal comes to the DNA producing the protein, and the protein producing the right mechanism to rebuild the barrier. So it's a process that takes time. So what do we need to do? First, we need to trigger it. Then we need to supply the trigger elements for continuous and longer time. These are the issues that differentiate our exposure and our technology from everything else. I hope this point is clear and you now understand it. Now, we have different strategies to do this. I cannot talk about all of them today, but I will talk about one of them today, and we'll talk about the rest later on. The subject of the technology that I'm going to talk now is SalSphere Aqua Skin. This is a proprietary patented technology. It's based on sub-micron spheres. What's unique about this is the following. First of all, let's go through and understand the structure, and then how does it work, and then how to use it. So it is a sub-micron sphere, 0.1 to 0.3 micron in diameter. The core is made out of lipid, and it contains different functional ingredients, including humectants. Okay, now we have a shell. The shell contains ingredients that help with hydration. You already see that I differentiate between hydration, those ingredients that help to lock in, carry and lock in the water, and other lipid and humectant that help the moisturization. The lipids are rebuilding the barrier, and humectants are helping to capture and retain the water. Okay, so we have those materials either in the core and also in the shell. So in a nutshell, what is SalSphere Aqua Skin? It's a sub-micron sphere delivery system. What does it mean, delivery system? It delivers the lipids and humectants over time. It's not just having the ingredients at one time, all of them at once, but small dosage, but for a long time. A long time, I mean a couple of hours, okay? The shell supporting hydration of the skin with immediate impact, because they immediately give you the sensory effect that your skin is moisturized, hydrated, soft, more elastic. Then the core is, the function of the core is to support the long-term moisturization effect, which is the lipid that builds up the barrier, and other functional ingredients that are able to mobilize water to the top layer of the skin. I will explain you in details this function again. So together, the encapsulated functional ingredients support the barrier repair and water transport and water retention. This is all happening in one delivery system. I hope you understand how we address it. Hydration and moisturization. Hydration is an immediate effect. Moisturization is a process that takes time to rebuild the barrier and then retain the water within the barrier. Okay, in order to achieve this, the Aqua Skin is our support or our solution. What does it mean, transport water? So what this technology is doing is maximizing the hydration and moisturization with the following features, one by one. The first thing, we're using a seaweed blend, which is mostly a polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are molecules that are able to hold, retain water. For example, if you're going on the beach right now, if you would see some algae on the beach. Ask how the algae can be on the beach, salty water, exposed to the UV, and still fully water. They contain a lot of water. So the polysaccharides have this ability, and that's what we want to bring into the product, the ability to hold the water and lock it in. So we are using this kind of polysaccharides to lock and retain the water together to eventually to moisturize it. So the seaweed are able to give us the immediate effect. And of course, it takes a long time until they lose the water that they are able to retain within their structure. The second function, the second interesting ingredient that we use is activation of a mechanism that's called aquaporin. So what is aquaporin? Aquaporin is a family of channel forming proteins that facilitate the movement of water, the glycerol, and other salts across cells membrane. So in simple words, you see here a model of a cell membrane. It's made out of phospholipids. Lipids are a barrier to water. So water cannot easily pass across the membrane. But aquaporin is opening channels made out of protein, doesn't matter now, channels that allow the water to move through the membrane. And this is a way to mobilize water. So this is a very important mechanism that was discovered only a couple of years ago. And we found that, research found, that when people have, for example, a cut or burn, there is a mechanism of the body to heal. How does it heal? By transporting water to the wound, the topical wound. How the water can pass through these channels. These channels are called aquaporin. Now, what we found out is we can deliver certain ingredients into the deep layer of the skin in turn to activate the aquaporin. In other words, to turn on these channels and allow water to transport from the body onto the surface. So this process cannot go forever, otherwise we will die. We lose all the water. But it's a temporary solution to boost the level of water on the surface of the skin. So this is called aquaporin. Aquaporin mechanism. Now, there are other lipids in the delivery system, and they're used to build and provide laminar structure. Laminar structure means layers of fat, okay? Layers, structural linear layers that prevent water loss from the skin. And the process itself of rebuilding is under time release, and this is extend the benefit for longer. So what does it mean? For example, you see in the picture on the top, how ingredients, functional ingredients, are able to open the channel. So the channel is reversible on and off. If we add the ingredients at one time, it will open it for a few minutes and then it will close it. By giving the time release, we are able to keep the channels open for a relatively longer time. So this is the benefit and the major features of SoundSphere Aqua Skin. So to summarize it, this is what we have. We have lipid waxes, the build and repair the barrier properties. We have urea. This is a very good humectant, but it has another function. Urea is a triggering mechanism to build up ceramides molecule. Instead of delivering ceramide, we can trigger the natural synthesis to produce more ceramide. And ceramide are the natural barrier system. So this is the role of urea. Now, in addition to the fact that urea is humectant and it's able to lock in water. Now, caffeine stimulates the aquaporin. It opens up those water channels to transport water to the top layers of the skin. And the seaweed extract, this contains polysaccharides. Polysaccharide is the major ingredient, but it also contains vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and other potent antioxidants. This is part of the natural moisturizing factors that we want to provide to the skin, at least to get the immediate trigger to build up the barrier and lock in the water. So this is SoundSphere Aqua Skin. How do we know that it works and to what extent it works? Therefore, we do some testing and we do in vivo testing on the skin, and we use different machinery to measure dehydration and also to measure the transepidermal water, the transport of water from the skin to the atmosphere. There are two different methods, and you see there are two different units to measure this phenomena. The first one is measuring transepidermal water loss, And the second one is actually measuring a coniometer that measures the hydration of the skin at this place. So what data do we get? So this is the hydration level as a function of time as applied. Now I want to tell you, this is a panelist that tested one time only. This is the first time that was applied on the skin. Of course, you cannot measure one time, but we need to start with one time. I do have somebody who insists on calling at this time. What do we see? We see the hydration level as a function of time. We see the baseline is the yellow. It goes up after 2 hours because we applied the base lotion, and the base lotion has water in it. So there is some benefit of this. And you can see that after 2 hours, it's dropping down. So typical lotions perform exactly in the same way. There is a pick up in the hydration level, and then they go down pretty fast. However, when we use either 2.5% or 5% of the aqua skin inside this lotion, we see that there is a growth, and then it stays higher, much higher. We tested it for 6 hours, and we didn't repeat it for longer time in this study, but I will show you in a minute in another study. So in this study, we definitely see an increase that can be measured. And of course, one can feel the effect as well, but can be measured. The second study that was 24 hours shows, again, skin moisture increase in percent compared to the initial measurement. And you see the benchmark, just the lotion, is low. Then use 2.5%, it's increased by 30% after 6 hours. And 5% is 50% increase in the moisture level of the skin. Now, after 24 hours, there is a decrease, but still you see the improvement compared to the lotion by itself, where the 2.5% almost 20% increase, and the 5% gives you about 35% increase in the level, which means you see a longer lasting effect that is significant compared to the baseline by itself. Now, so the basic benefit of the technology is clear from these studies that we conducted. The other benefit of using SalSphere AquaSkin is the ability to load the product with high level of humectants and then release them slowly. For example, glycerin or sorbitol. These are humectants that typically used in the formula. However, we know from practical use there is a limit of how much of this humectant you can put in the formula. You can maybe put 3–4%, but if you go to 10%, you may be able to incorporate it, but it will be very tacky. So the aesthetic value will go down, okay? Now, that's why we had a panel, a group of people that tested it, and they look at the aesthetic, the tacky effect. So we scored it up to 5, and what do you see here is over time. So you see the lotion by itself is a very low aesthetic, which means people didn't see the softness, the supple of the skin, moisturizing, and so on. When you use the free seaweed, just the seaweed by itself, you get a little bit of increase. But when you use the complete SalSphere AquaSkin, you see that the level is higher. People could see it's much more moisturizing, much more pleasant when you put it on the skin. So this is a way to incorporate relatively simple ingredients that everybody is using. Okay, but when you release them in a time-release fashion, you can get a much better result out of this. Of course, when you use it with combination of all the ingredients that I mentioned and the logic of mechanism, how they work for immediate effect and long-lasting effect, it makes much more sense. So this is aesthetically testing of the product. Now, I just want to tell you that the concept of aquaporine is not new. I think it came up to the world about 5–10 years ago. And so many people picked up the name. And I want to show you many products that use the name. I'm not sure they use the mechanism because looking at the INCI names, not always see how they connect or how they can activate and trigger the aquaporin mechanism. But at least the name is being used. Some of the products I show you here may have our technologies. So you see here another product, it's called aquaporin. This is aquaporin active, this is aquaporin cream. This is again aquaporin active moisturizing cream together with the SPF. Again, you see aquaporin cream and you see aquaporin cream. There are different products for different manufacturer. And you see again aquaporin cream, it's very popular. And even a brand that was introduced by a dermatologist, aquaporin hydrating cream. Some of them using our technologies, as I mentioned. So the aquaporin concept and the activation is an acceptable product in the market, and we can take benefit of this and look at this as an advantage. So how to use SunSphere aquaporin? So before I start, I would like to state the following. You saw before that there are many lotions that are using the aquaporin name, and maybe they're using the mechanism. Lotions are relatively easy to satisfy because they contain multiple emollients and they help to build up the barrier as well. I want to focus now about washes, rinse off. In rinse off, it's much more difficult to retain the ingredients. Our products are all paraben free, are all sulfate free, are all cruelty free. They're all ideal for dry skin, but everybody else with normal skin can use them. So the first technology that I would like to show you is a wash, and it contains two technologies. SunSphere Aqua Skin, the one that is the subject of this matter, and SunSphere Even Skin. Even Skin is a technology based on delivery of salicylic acid and some biological exfoliating agent like papain and bromelain extract. So together, the chemical and the biological ingredients help to exfoliate and rejuvenate the skin. This wash is directed toward, designed toward consumer with sensitive skin. Typically, those have acne prone. They're acne prone, and they may have some blemishes. And they require a special product where they need for moisturization is essential because of the properties of the skin. So we took the most difficult, challenging product that you may think of exfoliating for people that have sensitive skin, and they must have a good moisturizing system within the wash. Okay? And then I want to say that this wash is not only for facial, one can use the same formula for the body and also as for the hands. The formula is straightforward. You see that it uses about 56% water. The major thickener is xanthan gum and glycerin, among other botanicals that help to provide the emolliency, and they tend to feature the forming of the product, but the technologies. So we use Aqua Skin at 3%. Why 3%? I showed you before. The clinical data showed 2.5 and 5%. So 2.5 shows good results. Okay, not the best. The best would be probably 5%, but 2.5 is okay. So we used in this formula 3%. And you see the INCI names are all included here. You see that in Aqua Skin, there is also hyaluronic acid, which is a hydrating agent, but totally the whole formula works to hydrate and moisturize at the same time. The second technology is SunSphere Even Skin. In order to get about 1% salicylic acid, we use 3.33% of Even Skin. This, of course, you can use less, depends on the purpose of the wash. If the wash is supposed to handle blemishes, you would use this level. If the wash is a general exfoliating or general wash, you can use a little bit less. So this is the basic formula. And of course, there is the grapefruit oil that also has some antiseptic and preservative value. Now, to the formula, I transfer you to Brian and Alicia in our lab.
The first ingredients that we will be adding to our water phase are xanthan gum and glycerin. We will be pre-mixing them so that the glycerin can wet the xanthan gum so that it is more easily soluble within the water. The xanthan gum will act as a water phase thickener. Now that the xanthan gum is fully dispersed within the glycerin, it will be added to the water phase. The propeller speed will most likely need to be increased as this will thicken the water considerably. The next ingredient that we will be adding is aloe vera gel liquid. This will act as a moisturizer within the wash and has skin healing and soothing properties. The next ingredient that we will be adding is witch hazel extract. This will act as a skin conditioning agent that will help cleanse the skin and leave it feeling smooth. Now we will add cocamidopropyl betaine. This is our foaming surfactant, and we are using a considerable amount of it because it is the only surfactant that we are using within this formula. Now we will add the Natural Ultra 3. This is our preservative and will help keep bacteria from growing within the water phase. Now we will add the first of our two technologies, Salsphere Aquaskin. Salsphere Aquaskin is an encapsulation of urea, caffeine, and seaweed to help protect the skin's hydration and activate the water flow system for cells. Now, the second of our two technologies, Salsphere Even Skin, will be added. This is an encapsulation of salicylic acid plus enzymes for exfoliation. What's great about this is that there are no negative side effects normally associated with salicylic acid due to the extended release. The mechanism of release is based on adhesion of the submicron sphere to lipid domains on the skin, where they slowly release the actives. And finally, a small amount of fragrance will be added. We chose grapefruit oil here. This step is, this is really up to you. And once this has been allowed to mix until homogeneous, this wash is complete. This is our Salsphere Aquaskin and Even Skin wash. It's not super thick like many hand washes normally are, but that is because we don't have any stabilizing surfactant. We just have a primary foaming surfactant in there. This is what our Salsphere Aquaskin and Even Skin wash looks like when it is applied. A normal amount of wash is used, and then a nice lather is created within the hands by rubbing. In these days and times, you cannot scrub too thoroughly, so make sure to cover your entire hands and wrists, and then wash with water. This should come off very easily.
Okay, thank you, our excellent team in the lab, Brian and Alicia, doing a very good job. And now I want to show you the second example of how to use Salsphere Aquaskin. But before we go to this, I want to tell you that in general, Salsphere Aquaskin is compatible with a variety of thickeners, cationic or anionic or non-ionic. It is water suspendable, has a milky appearance, so if you're looking for a clear, it will not be clear. And here I want to show you a couple of possible applications for this kind of technology. For example, a lotion for a skin wash. Either I didn't show you a moisturizer because it's straightforward, but the best way to demonstrate the major benefit of this is in a wash, because typically wash are drying the skin. And this is a way to counteract the drying. So this is a sensitive skin wash, or this could be a feminine intimate wash where you also don't want to dry the skin, body wash in general, and of course, any kind of anti-acne or anti-blemish washes that you want to keep the skin moisturized all the time. Okay, so this is about this basic wash. And the second example is based on regenerating cream cleaner. So it's the product that feels like a cream, but it forms like a wash. It contains, again, SunSphere Aqua Skin and SunSphere Even Skin. These are the two technologies that we show them again. In this case, you see, we use SunSphere Aqua Skin at 3%. This is the standard that we know from clinical studies it works. We use water in a good percentage, and we use some other surfactant and ingredients, and even skin at a higher concentration, 6.7 compared to 3.3 before. And this is to get 1%. So this could be an OTC product. Of course, if you want to use it as a cosmetic product, you can use less. It can become an OTC product only if you declare it for acne. But if you don't declare it for acne, just for exfoliating, that's another story, and you don't have anything that limit your dose. Now, regenerating is important, and here is the formula again. Brian.
The first ingredient that we will be adding to this formulation is our technology, SalSphere Aqua Skin. This is a combination of encapsulated urea, caffeine, and seaweed. The time release allows for higher loading without the tacky film in the skin. Within this encapsulation, the urea acts as a humectant and moisturizing agent. The caffeine helps to stimulate aquaporins within the skin, and the seaweed acts as an anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. Now we will add Lumerol 5019. This is a mild foaming surfactant and will make up most of our formulation as this is a wash. This will thicken the water a considerable amount, so the propeller speed may need to be increased while this is being added and afterwards. But you want to be careful to not increase the propeller speed too much, as that will cause foaming. Next, we will add our salt thickener, sodium chloride. So the way this acts as a thickener is by reducing the micelle charge density within the formulation, which helps to convert the spherical micelles into rod-shaped micelles. And now we will add a small amount of Protolan AGL, which is sodium cocoyl glutamate. This acts as an anti-irritation and moisturizing ingredient. And now the final ingredient that we will be adding to this wash is the second of our two technologies, SalSphere Even Skin. This encapsulation of salicylic acid and enzymes helps exfoliate the skin. And the encapsulation of the sal acid allows for a higher use level of salicylic acid within the final formulation and gives a time release effect so that the sal acid does not irritate the skin all at once. And now, once this has mixed until uniform, our SalSphere Aqua Skin and SalSphere Even Skin wash is done. This is our wash with SalSphere Aqua Skin and SalSphere Even Skin. As you can see, it is quite thick, like any hand wash. It is not completely clear, as there is SalSphere Aqua Skin in it. Had the Aqua Skin not be added, this formulation would be clear, even though we have our technology SalSphere Even Skin in it. Here is the wash being applied to the skin. A regular amount is used, like any other hand wash, and then a nice lather is achieved. The SalSphere Even Skin in this wash will help to exfoliate the skin, while the SalSphere Aqua Skin will help to moisturize. This is nice because most classic hand washes have strong surfactants and they will dry the skin out fairly quickly, but the Aqua Skin will ensure that this does not happen.
Very good. Thank you very much. So you saw so far two different approaches to do a rinse-off with the technologies. There are other rinse-off in the market. Some of them are using our technology, and they are very nice. So what you see here, it's a creamy salicylic acid cleanser that helps clear blemishes and purify skin without over-drying, and this is the point. So what does the technology here does? The technology provides a sustained release of both salicylic acid and moisturizing element for the continuous skin treatment, even after it is rinsed off, because the material is staying there. So to summarize what we have so far, the goal of this session was to introduce you, to make you familiar, and to make you able to formulate unique moisturizing product using SunSphere Aqua Skin. Now you know that there is a difference between hydration and moisturization. So we don't get too confused between the two processes. You also know the value of SalzFuel Aqua Skin as an advanced raw material that works simultaneously to hydrate and moisturize the skin. And you also know the special properties of SalzFuel Aqua Skin to draw and hold water from inside and from outside, from the environment. You also know now the possible applications, like how you can use SalzFuel Aqua Skin and the aquaporin mechanism inside the product. So I want to thank you for your collaboration, for listening to me. You can always find contacts here at www.salvona.com. And you can also contact me on my mobile phone and on the different apps that we have. Please follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and so on. If you don't want to formulate, you want it already ready to go, then you can contact our sister company to Advanced Beauty Lab. You can advancedbeautylab.com, or you can call Jeff Gohar directly at 609-270-9359. I'm sure he will be able to help you get either the bulk or get the finished product in a very short time. So with this, I would like to finalize and remind you that you can check our website for the past and future webinars and learn from this. Otherwise, the global webinar will come back in September. So we kind of go for a break. We're preparing the new webinars that will come afterwards in September. And until then, of course, all our online services will be available. If you have any comments and you have any questions, please use the chat to ask me right now. If I can answer you, it will be great. If not, please email me. And now you know how to find me in salvona.com/contact. I'm always happy to talk and exchange some ideas, clarify some concepts, and I think it could be very effective. You don't need to bother too much. Just go to the website and schedule and invite yourself to meet. It's a new experience now. Time of Corona requires different changes and adaptation, and this is part of our mechanism to make it easy and accessible to everyone who would like to come up with new ideas, new product concept, new formulations, and that's why we are here. Okay, I think it was a great hour, almost an hour. I committed not to take too much of your time. So if you would like to comment on the chat, please do so. If you would like to comment by email or by other way of communication, it will be great. I always like to see feedback. We always try to improve our services and make ourselves more effective for the world. So if you don't have any more questions, with this, we will end this broadcast. And I want to thank you again and enjoy the summer. Have a good time. Bye-bye.